And then, some of you might think that these are stories which are so far back, different times, these times don't exist today. How can we take advantage of these things today, and such? So in 2002, Charlie Munger made an investment that he read about in Barron's, and Barron's is a weekly magazine, and he had been reading Barron's for almost half a century. So every issue of Barron's probably has at least 10 stock tips, and so if you're going to read them for half a century or something, that's about 2,500 issues or about 25,000 stock tips. After 50 years of reading Barron's, he made one investment. And that investment was in 2002, where he invested $10 million in Tenneco, and Tenneco invested in the stock as well as their bonds were 35 cents on the dollar, and then they converted to stocks as well. And he sold Tenneco a couple of years later, and the 10 million had become about 80 million. It was about 8x, 2004, 2005. And then he turned around. He'd met a promising young Asian manager, Li Lu, and he gave the 80 million to Li Lu to invest in a new fund. Li Lu was starting to invest in Asia primarily, and that 80 million, I don't know the exact number, but it's something like 500 million today. It's gone up, 6 or 7 times since then. So if you think about it, you have one action in 2002 to buy Tenneco. You have a second action in 2005 or 2006 to give the proceeds to Li Lu, and you end up, the 10 million becomes 500 million, 50x in the last 15 years. And these are 15 years and we were all alive. We could have done the same thing. I certainly didn't do the same thing, which is why here I am talking to you instead of, being up there on the slide. But the thing is that it again demonstrates the importance of making bets when the odds are heavily in your favor. Charlie was sure, because Tenneco had all these very dominant brands with Monroe struts and mufflers and brakes, which are all now waning, but at that time they were quite prominent. And in fact, if he had held on, he was buying this stock for $1.50, $1.75. It eventually went to $55 a share. So even if he had just held on some more, he would have made even more than what he did. And so the interesting thing is that you go through a multi-decade period of listening to one pitch after another and do nothing. Then you step in and make one investment, and then you step in and make another investment. And so in Charlie's words, the 500 million with Li Lu pretty much came out of nothing. And if you think about, in 2002, I think Charlie was a billionaire by then. So 10 million that he put in would kind of been like 1% of his net worth. And Rick Goran likes to say that it's always good to keep 10 million in checking in case something shows up. So I would kind of rephrase that as saying that it's always good to have maybe 1, 2, or 5% or some single-digit percent of your net worth sitting there waiting to be deployed when you have extreme odds in your favor with very high return possibilities. And they will show up from time to time. They show up infrequently, and one has to be prepared to act in size when that happens. And so these were some of the thoughts I really wanted to share with you, which is, the core is, the few bets, big bets, infrequent bets, the ability to take pain, and the ability to be decisive at the points when you're encountering no-brainers. And so with that, Professor Yang, we can maybe open up for questions and such.